The rise and fall of Bella Poarch. From the most liked TikTok video to one of the internet's most mysterious stars. The girl who appeared out of nowhere. Have you ever wondered how someone can go from complete anonymity to becoming one of the biggest stars on the internet almost overnight? One day nobody knew her name. The next, millions of people were copying her facial expressions, reacting to her videos, and asking the same question. Who is Bella Poarch? It felt almost impossible. How could someone with only a handful of videos suddenly become one of TikTok's biggest celebrities? Was it luck? The algorithm? Or was there much more to the story than anyone realized? Behind the cheerful smile, the viral lip-sync videos, and the record-breaking numbers was a life filled with hardship, pain, and challenges that very few fans knew about. This is not just the story of internet fame. It's the story of survival, reinvention, and what happens when millions of strangers suddenly become interested in every detail of your life. This is the rise and the challenges of Bella Poarch. A childhood far different from what people imagined. When most people first discovered Bella Poarch, they assumed she had lived a glamorous life. She always appeared calm, confident, perfectly composed. But according to Bella's own public interviews, her childhood looked nothing like the life people imagined. Bella was born in the Philippines on February Chin Ninchincham Chimibai. Not long after her birth, she was adopted. She has shared publicly that she grew up in a strict household on a farm in the Philippines. While many children spent afternoons playing with friends, Bella has said that much of her childhood involved physical labor. She described feeding animals, working outside, and completing demanding chores every day. Years later, she also spoke openly about experiencing abuse while growing up. Those interviews surprised many fans because behind the smiling face seen on TikTok was someone carrying painful memories from childhood. Bella has explained that she often felt isolated. She struggled to understand why life seemed so different for her compared to other children. Instead of dreaming about becoming famous, her biggest dream was simply finding peace. For years, that dream felt impossibly far away. Leaving home. Everything changed when Bella reached her teenage years. Eventually, she left the Philippines and moved to the United States. It wasn't the glamorous new beginning many people imagined. Moving to another country meant adapting to a completely different culture, a new language, new people, and an uncertain future. Like many immigrants, Bella had to build a new life from the ground up. She wasn't thinking about social media. She wasn't trying to become an influencer. She simply wanted stability. Something she had rarely experienced before. That desire for stability would eventually lead her somewhere very unexpected. The United States Navy. A life in the military. Long before becoming a TikTok sensation, Bella Poarch wore a military uniform. She enlisted in the United States Navy. Many fans were shocked when they learned this. The cheerful internet personality they knew seemed completely different from someone serving in the military. But Bella has spoken proudly about that chapter of her life. Military service required discipline, responsibility, structure, and teamwork, qualities that would later influence the way she approached her public career. She was stationed in several locations, including Hawaii and Japan. During those years, social media wasn't the center of her life. She wasn't chasing internet fame. She wasn't creating viral content. In fact, if someone had told her she would one day become one of TikTok's biggest stars, she probably wouldn't have believed them. At the time, millions of people didn't know she existed, and honestly, she preferred it that way. The world changed in Hangin Homcham Haimwe then. Hangin Homcham Haimwe arrived. The COVID-19 pandemic changed the internet forever. Millions of people stayed home. TikTok exploded in popularity. Every day, new creators appeared. Most disappeared within weeks. Only a tiny number managed to break through. Bella was one of them. She created an account, uploaded a few simple videos, and slowly began attracting attention. There were no expensive cameras, no giant production team, no elaborate editing, just short clips, simple expressions, natural charisma. At first, nothing suggested that history was about to be made. The video that changed everything. Then came one video, just a few seconds long. Bella stared into the camera. She lip-synced to the song M to the B. She nodded her head, raised her eyebrows, made exaggerated facial expressions. That was it. No dramatic effects, no expensive production, no complicated dance routine. Yet somehow, millions of people couldn't stop watching. Then millions became tens of millions. Then hundreds of millions. People replayed the clip over and over again. Reaction videos flooded YouTube. Memes spread across every social media platform. People copied her expressions. Influencers recreated the video. Celebrities joined the trend. The algorithm seemed unstoppable. Eventually, the video became one of the most liked videos in TikTok history. It was one of those rare internet moments where almost everyone online had seen the same clip. Almost overnight,
Bella Poarch transformed from an unknown creator into a global phenomenon. Everyone wanted to know her story. With fame came curiosity. People searched for every detail they could find. Who was she? Where did she come from? How old was she? Was she really in the military? What was her real name? Suddenly, millions of strangers wanted answers. The internet began doing what it always does when someone becomes famous: digging, searching, comparing old photos, watching every interview, analyzing every social media post. Fans admired her. Critics questioned her sudden rise. Some believed she had become famous too quickly. Others argued that she had simply mastered the algorithm at exactly the right moment. Regardless of the reason, Bella had become impossible to ignore. The pressure of going viral. Going viral sounds exciting, and for a while it was. Followers increased by millions. Brand opportunities arrived almost immediately.
Media outlets wanted interviews. Companies wanted partnerships. Every upload attracted enormous attention. But internet fame comes with a hidden cost. Every word is analyzed. Every photo is examined. Every mistake becomes a headline. For Bella, that pressure arrived faster than anyone expected, because just as her popularity reached incredible heights, the first major controversy was already beginning to take shape, and it centered around something many people had never noticed before: a tattoo. One image would suddenly place Bella Poarch at the center of an international online debate, and from that moment forward, her life on the internet would never be quite the same again. Hashtag when a single tattoo changed everything. Internet fame can arrive in an instant, but so can controversy.
For Bella Poarch, it began with something that had been visible for quite some time, yet almost nobody had paid attention to it. As her follower count exploded into the tens of millions, people began examining every photo she had ever posted, every interview, every live stream, every tattoo. Eventually, internet users noticed a tattoo on Bella's arm that resembled the rising sun flag. For many people outside East Asia, it looked like just another design. But in countries such as South Korea, the image carries a very different meaning. It is associated with Japan's imperial military during a period marked by war and occupation. To many, it is considered deeply offensive. Within hours, screenshots spread across social media. Thousands of comments appeared. Some people demanded an explanation. Others accused Bella of being insensitive. Many fans, however, believed there had to be another explanation.
The conversation quickly became one of the biggest topics surrounding her career. Instead of ignoring the criticism, Bella responded publicly. She apologized. She explained that she had not fully understood the historical significance of the design when she first got the tattoo. She acknowledged the pain it had caused and said she never intended to offend anyone. More importantly, she chose to have the tattoo covered. It wasn't an instant fix. Some people accepted her apology, others remained critical. But many observers noted that she had listened, taken responsibility, and acted to address the issue. For someone who had only recently become famous, it was a harsh lesson. On the internet, every detail matters. Even something from years earlier can suddenly become the center of a global conversation. The internet wanted more than just videos.
Bella's audience continued to grow at an astonishing pace, but something had changed. People were no longer satisfied with watching short lip-sync clips. They wanted to know everything. What kind of house did she live in? Who were her friends? Was she dating anyone? How much money was she making? Every appearance became news. Every interview generated headlines, and every silence created new speculation. This is one of the strange realities of internet fame. The more private you try to remain, the more curious people become. Bella rarely shared every aspect of her personal life. Unlike many influencers who documented nearly every moment, she often kept important parts of her life out of public view. For some fans, that made her more mysterious. For others, it fueled endless theories. The weight of expectation. Becoming famous is difficult. Staying famous can be even harder.
Millions of followers expect constant entertainment. The algorithm rewards creators who upload regularly. Take a short break. and people begin asking questions. Post something different, and viewers wonder what happened. Every creator eventually faces the same challenge. How do you evolve without disappointing the audience that made you famous? Bella found herself in exactly that position. She knew she couldn't lip sync forever. She wanted to create something more meaningful, something more personal, something that reflected who she really was. That decision would become one of the biggest turning points in her career. Music. A new dream. Many influencers release songs. Most disappear within days. The internet is filled with examples of creators who tried to become musicians, only to discover that viral fame doesn't automatically translate into musical success. Bella understood the risk.
But according to her interviews, music had always been one of her biggest passions. She wasn't simply chasing another trend. She wanted to tell her story. When she announced that she was entering the music industry, the reactions were mixed. Some people were excited, others were skeptical. Critics questioned whether she could be taken seriously as an artist. Supporters argued that everyone deserves the opportunity to grow beyond the platform that made them famous. The pressure was enormous. One successful song could redefine her career. One failed release could become another internet joke. #building a new identity. Bella approached the transition carefully. Instead of trying to copy other artists, she began creating a visual style that blended pop music with darker emotional themes. She spoke about confidence, pain, healing, self-worth. Many listeners noticed that beneath the polished visuals,
there were hints of the difficult experiences she had described from her childhood. Rather than pretending her past never happened, she seemed willing to acknowledge it. That honesty helped many fans connect with her on a deeper level. They no longer saw only the girl from the famous TikTok video. They saw someone trying to rebuild her life, one chapter at a time. The price of living online. Success on social media often creates an illusion. Millions of followers, luxury brands, magazine covers, red carpet appearances. From the outside, everything looks perfect. But the reality can be very different. Bella has spoken publicly about struggling with anxiety and the emotional pressure that came with sudden fame. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that millions of strangers are discussing your appearance, your voice, your decisions, and your mistakes. For many creators, that pressure becomes overwhelming. Some leave social media entirely, others continue, while quietly dealing with the emotional consequences behind the scenes. Bella appeared determined to keep moving forward, but it was becoming increasingly clear that internet fame was far more complicated than it looked through a phone screen. A carefully protected private life. Unlike many influencers,
Bella rarely revealed every detail of her personal relationships. She kept boundaries. She chose what to share and what to leave private. That decision earned respect from some fans, but it also encouraged constant speculation. Every photo with another celebrity generated dating rumors. Every interview was analyzed for hidden clues. Every absence from social media sparked new theories. It became almost impossible to separate Bella the person from Bella the internet phenomenon. And perhaps that was one of the biggest challenges she faced. The world believed it knew her, but in reality, much of her life remained unseen. From viral star to global celebrity, despite the controversies, Bella's influence continued to grow. She collaborated with major brands, appeared at high-profile events, expanded beyond TikTok into music, fashion, and entertainment. She had accomplished something very few creators ever achieve. She was no longer just a social media personality, she had become a recognizable public figure. Yet, the biggest surprise of her story was still waiting. Because while millions of fans believed they knew everything about Bella Poarch, they had no idea that she had been keeping one of the most significant parts of her personal life completely private. When that secret finally became public, it shocked the internet. And once again, Bella Poarch found herself at the center of headlines around the world. That revelation would become one of the defining moments of her career. Life after the headlines. The internet moves faster than almost anything else in the modern world. One week, everyone is talking about you. The next, the spotlight has already shifted to someone else. For Bella Poarch, that reality became impossible to ignore. After years of constant attention, the daily headlines slowly became less frequent. New creators arrived. New trends dominated TikTok. The platform itself continued to evolve. The era that had launched Bella into global superstardom was changing. But disappearing from daily headlines did not mean disappearing completely. Instead, Bella began focusing on something much quieter, building a career that could survive long after viral trends faded. Unlike the frantic pace of social media,
Music required patience. It required practice. It required accepting criticism from an entirely different audience. Some listeners welcomed her evolution. Others continued to view her as the TikTok girl. Changing public perception proved far more difficult than becoming famous in the first place. Because once the internet places a label on someone, removing it can take years. Sometimes it never happens at all. The cost of going viral. There is a common belief that becoming famous solves every problem. More money, more opportunities, more happiness. But Bella's story suggests something much more complicated. Fame can amplify success. It can also amplify pain. Every insecurity, every mistake, every difficult moment suddenly becomes public property. Millions of strangers begin debating your decisions without ever having met you. Some offer support, others offer criticism.
Many form opinions based on only a few seconds of video. It is one of the greatest paradoxes of internet celebrity. The audience feels like they know you, while knowing only a tiny fraction of your real life. Bella has spoken openly about protecting her peace, about learning when to step away from social media, about recognizing that not every comment deserves a response. Those lessons did not come easily. They were learned through years of living under constant public attention. The person behind the screen. Perhaps the most fascinating part of Bella Poarch's journey is the contrast between perception and reality. Millions first saw a cheerful young woman making playful facial expressions. But behind that image was someone who had experienced hardship from an early age. Someone who served in the military. Someone who rebuilt her life in a new country.
Someone who carried memories invisible to the audience watching through a phone screen. Social media often encourages us to judge people by a single moment. A 15-second clip, a photograph, a headline. But no human life fits into 15 seconds. Bella's story reminds us that the most important chapters are often the ones the camera never records. Where is Bella Poarch today? Today, Bella Poarch remains active in entertainment, although her focus has expanded beyond the viral content that first made her famous. She continues releasing music. She appears at public events. She collaborates with brands and creative projects. While she may not dominate internet conversations the way she did in 2020, she has maintained a dedicated audience that follows her work beyond TikTok. That transition is significant. Many viral creators disappear entirely after their moment passes. Bella has instead continued adapting, accepting that lasting careers rarely look the same as explosive beginnings. The internet may remember her for one unforgettable video, but she appears determined to be remembered for much more than that. What the internet can teach us. Bella Poarch's rise happened so quickly that it almost seemed impossible. Within months, she became one of the most recognizable faces on one of the world's largest social media platforms. Yet, her journey also reveals how unpredictable internet fame can be. Success online is rarely permanent. Algorithms change. Audiences change. Platforms change. The creators who survive are often those willing to evolve. Bella understood that becoming famous was only the beginning. Staying relevant required continuous growth, whether through music, creative projects, or simply learning to live beyond the expectations of millions of followers. That lesson applies far beyond social media. Reinvention is often more difficult than success itself. The final chapter. So, what is the real story of Bella Poarch? Is it the story of the girl who broke TikTok with a single video? The former sailor who unexpectedly became a global celebrity? The young woman whose childhood shaped her resilience? The creator who faced public controversy, accepted criticism, and continued moving forward? Perhaps it is all of those stories at once, because human lives are never defined by one headline, or one mistake, or one moment of extraordinary success. They are defined by what happens afterward, by the choices made when the cameras stop rolling, when the trends fade, when the applause becomes quieter. Bella Poarch's journey is still being written. No one knows exactly where it will lead next, but her story has already become part of internet history. A reminder that behind every viral sensation
there is a real person with dreams, with fears, with victories, with regrets, and with a future that cannot be predicted by follower counts alone. The internet will always search for the next overnight sensation, another creator, another trend, another impossible success story. But very few people will ever experience the extraordinary rise, the intense scrutiny, and the remarkable transformation that Bella Poarch has lived through. And perhaps that is why her story continues to fascinate millions of people around the world. Not because she became famous, but because she discovered just how complicated fame can truly be. Thank you for listening, and remember, the next time you see a 15-second viral video, you may only be seeing the smallest chapter of a much larger